That's why I say fishing expedition. What are y'all really looking for? Are you trying to convict him, or you just want to get what you think he got? Because so many people are involved. This man got bureaucrats, lawyers, judges, police officers, legislators, Congress, you know what I'm saying? People in the executive and judicial branches, all on tape. Shaking booty, clergy, education staff, you know, school, union reps, shaking it, sucking it, doing some wild stuff, man. He got too many people. And then it's not just domestic. This is international. This is global. He got global dirt. It's insane. How can we expect him to get a fair trial with the people that are alleged to be involved, with the names that have already, been presented to the public? I mean, you got people like I don't even want to say their name because they're not even worth it, but people put them on these pedestals like LJ, the basketball player. It's just, y'all, people are weird, okay? But ZJ and his lady, right? He never really says anything. And then mother freaking Jaguar Wright gets on a very, prolific platform. Mother freaking all of a sudden supposedly got his lawyers making threats, telling him, hey, your show is called Uncensored, but we need you to censor what you disseminate to the public because you're talking about ZJ and his lady. Nah, it's interesting when you got people coming out the woodworks doing things that they never done before. It's interesting. That's all I'm saying. Just making an inference here. You see how I'm, giving you one of these conspiracy theories, the same thing that the police and the government does in regards to criminal matters when they're trying to build a case against you. It's interesting. How do we expect them to get a fair trial with the people that is involved? And then what makes me wonder is like, okay, so, I mean, obviously by the masses, the potential, or the potentiality of selecting jury or jurors for jury it's tainted. It's motherfucking doo-dooed. It has bird droppings all over because it's like I said, it's everywhere. It's pervasive. The content is everywhere, demonizing and criminalizing Jay-Z, whether it's warranted or not. It's out there. And judges are viewed to be impartial and objective. The same thing is expected with your jurors, right? Your jury is expected to be impartial and objective. And then there's expected to be ignorant to your case. But when you're Diddy, in this regard, how can you be? You will have to. It makes me wonder because it's like the things that his lawyer requested was like he was complaining about the living standards there being so terrible. Yeah, it's like that in most places. It doesn't matter if you think these places have been, changed to more modernized dormitorial style, styled facilities. These places are still like detrimental to people's mental health, their physical health, you know what I'm saying? Their spiritual health. It tears up their relationships with their families. It enables or it prohibits their jobs. It inhibits their job or their abilities to get a job. It's debilitating, nigga. And then with the stigma that gets attached to it, baby. Not to mention if you convicted with a drug offense in the United States, I mean, that ruins every opportunity you have for any form of government assistance use, whether it's education, food stamps, because you're poor as a joke, you know what I'm saying? It eliminates everything. Housing. So it's like, it ain't no new phenomenon. This has always applied. Like, they take these rare instances and they make it seem like they blow it up. Like, oh my goodness, this is it's a rarity. No, it's not. It happens on a regular basis. Visit your local jails, visit your local prisons. Those living standards aren't great. They're not at all. As a collective, they're terrible. But they like to focus on these onesie twosies that they have put a little bit of money towards to kind of fix it up and, hide the fact, put Band-Aids on the fact that it's just jacked up. and they make it seem like, oh, this represents all the correctional facilities out here. No, no. The living standard sucks for everybody. The thing I would have tried to do is, as this judge, I would have filed a motion for change of venue. Like, we need to get this case in somewhere remote. Can we get it on the Indian reservation? Like, because I feel like this is the only place he's going to have any form of, like, fairness, maybe, you know? And even that, internet access and media access, it's still accessible to some degree out there, but you got to have it in a remote place where nobody has almost no internet. You got to have it in Alaska, you know, in the middle of the Arctic, where nobody almost lives there, because everybody seems to catch wind of this. And then to me, it's funky because it almost seems like it encourages the possibility of him waiving his rights to go to a trial and face his accusers, waiving his rights for the prosecutor to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did what he's accused of, waives his rights to, like I said, to do anything, all the things that were established by the Constitution. I feel like they're trying to push him where he's more likely to waive his rights. And it's like, why? Why? Well, he's less likely to choose a jury trial if he looks at them and see like, these people, everybody's view of me is tainted. So maybe I should waive my rights to a jury trial because I'm probably going to be found guilty. And if I'm found guilty, they've already established, the judge, the courts have already established that if I'm found guilty, the penalty is going to be even more harsh because I went to trial. That in itself red flag should be going on. Why the freak are you punished more harshly just because you went to trial to make these niggas do their job? But you punish more harshly for taking it to trial. So when it comes time to convict you, you're more likely given or when it's time to give you a sentence, more likely you're given a harsher, longer sentence. Which is the same garbage that they tell people when they're facing charges to begin with. And then they push them to take plea deals. They make you think that if you go to court, you less likely to find victory. You will be convicted. And if you are convicted, you will be punished and sentenced more harsher than you would if you just take this little plea. Then people got to take it to consideration. They're like, dang, I take a plea for 2 years versus 20 years or, you know, whatever they offer. And then probation versus, because then you got to take into consideration, at least if it's something lenient, this stuff interferes with your life outside of the criminal justice system. If you got a job, you in school, that stuff is interfering. So now you're making this very life-changing decision, this very important decision under duress, stress, and motherfreaking doubt. You're more than likely gonna take the option that is less beneficial for you. You pleading out benefits everybody. It's the same thing with Diddy. Diddy waiving his rights to a jury trial, it benefits everybody but him. Because now he's more likely to go before the judge. Because you waived the jury trial, now you got a bench trial. So that means you sitting before the judge. Probably the same judge that has denied him bail, bond, repeatedly. Maybe I can't even get you to give me bail or bond, and I got the money, okay? And this is the interesting thing about it too, because here in America, several states have been pushing for bail reform where it has been ruled that the requirement of bail or bond is unconstitutional because it's basically stating that if you are poor and cannot afford to get out, then you must stay and be held in pretrial detention, which means that you are awaiting trial if you ever even make it there. This big if. Because majority cases don't go there. They plea out. So if you sitting there forever waiting to go to trial, and then now you finally brought before a judge and then they tell you, well, you can plea out and then you just do your time and then you go on about your business, or you could take this to trial and this drags out. You ain't getting your trial won't be scheduled nowhere within the near foreseeable future. So you're going to be sitting in jail, non-convicted, awaiting trial. So you 9 times out of 10 going to take the plea because you like, baby, y'all ain't going to give me these years back. Y'all not going to compensate me for the time that I done spent here. And they're not. They're not. They're never compensated. So it's, like I said, it's interesting. This happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. The poor living standards, not having access to lawyers, majority of the people, and I tell you, look on your local jails census rosters. They're usually, when they put the person's name and information, date of birth, and when they were arrested, what they charges, they also put whether they've been before a judge. And a lot of them things say no. They'll show you the date that they've been in there, because it's supposed to show you if they've been before a judge, the date and time that they went before the judge. And a lot of these things don't have it. Why? Because they ain't been before no judges. A lot of these people been sitting there for days, weeks, months, years, bro, and they're not convicted. This is literally violating their due process. So if they're ever by some chance brought before a judge and they say, hey, you can take a plea or you can push this to trial, and I'm not gonna schedule you a trial date no time soon. Backed up. Trial is expensive. We don't even have enough staff. Look at your local courts. It tells you who the judges are, how many judges there are. Look at how many prosecutors y'all got. Look at how many public defenders y'all got, niggas. And then look at how many people who reside in your municipality. Yes. And let me tell you this, at least 1% of your entire population is being funneled through the criminal justice system. 9 times out of 10, you got at least 100 times more people being funneled through the criminal justice system than the people that are employed by the criminal justice system. It's crazy. But anyways, we don't expect anything different. This happens every time. Poor people held in pretrial detention, waiting trial forever. Rarely ever get in contact with a lawyer, sitting there forever. Poor, terrible living standards. You got the geriatric community sitting up in there. During COVID, several county jails were supposed to release geriatric communities, motherfucking the sick, because of the fact that COVID was increasing the likelihood of people dying and stuff. People still sat in there. And it was supposed to alleviate mass incarceration. It ain't alleviate squat because they ain't even released nobody. Interesting. This happens to everybody. But I feel like they want to push it for a bench trial because they know once they push it for a bench trial, it is over. The same person that denied you bail and bond in a country that we're fighting for bail reform. I got the money. You said it's $50 million to get about it. Nigga, here. You deny me anyways. What are your reasons for denying it? What were the mitigating or what were the aggravating factors that you looked at that made you decide I need to be held in pretrial detention? What were they? This is unfair. I am not supposed to be ripped of my freedom, my liberty, my life, my person. I'm not supposed to be searched nor seized without the process of due process or without the standard of due process being applied. I hope Diddy gets a fair chance. Like, comment, share, subscribe, man. But I hope Diddy gets a fair chance. And I have occasionally, I'm gonna look down because I got my nose down here. But it's nothing different. It's nothing new. And another thing that I think is crazy is when, as we on the topic of stigmas, and how you don't have a fair trial. People who are held on pretrial detention are more likely to be convicted when they are brought through to have their, to go through their trial. And the reason is because when you're sitting in pretrial detention, when you're sitting in there, not in freedom, not getting, stimulation from sunlight and the air and fresh air and all this wonderful stuff that's being out in the world, gives you and provides you, you start to cave in on yourself. Your mental health depreciates, your emotional, health depreciates. You start to look at the world differently. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Sean P. Diddy Combs was to go into the court appearance, make his court appearance looking slightly deranged in the face, because this is how media works. I can't convince you that he's a criminal without making you believe he's a criminal. And what better way to make you believe that he's a criminal without him being perceived as a criminal? You looking at him and he looked deranged, right? People who go and preach or who are held in pretrial detention, when they actually make their court appearance, a lot of the times they're not even given like regular, citizen clothes. They attend their court appearances with the garment that they're provided by the state. And so just off of that stigma alone it taints the image of your innocence. What happens to innocent until proven guilty? Off the rip, you are looked at as guilty, because it's like humans strangely believe that, bad things only happen to bad people. Bad things don't happen to good people. So for something bad to happen to you, you deserved it. You had to have done something. And so when you perceive someone sitting there or standing there before you in their jail attire, and they're facing, whatever charges, criminal charges, even as their jury, you looking at that person in their uniform and you just like, damn, he had to have done it, because why else would he be standing here wearing these clothes? Right? And when you're in jail, you don't get the same luxuries that you get out here. You don't get to comb your hair and put the products in it and doll yourself up. You don't get the chance to clean your face up and stuff. So if you a man, your hair growing in all scraggly and scuffly, you look, especially as a black man, if you're a woman, you going in there with your hair looking wild and deranged, and now you look like some witch, and this is how they perceive you. Perception is reality. Perception is reality to the ignorant, to the foolish. It's interesting to me that, how this is being played out. There's so many possibilities, and at the same time, it makes me wonder, again, it's like, Lord, please give him a fair trial. Because even if he's convicted, I don't believe that the people in power will allow him to live, to live, or even have the ability to access people where he could potentially, from what they believe, order evidence or footage of some of these people who don't want their stuff getting out doing some obscene, immoral things. And so it would behoove of them to incarcerate him, and to keep him incarcerated and to keep him from any, interactions with humans. And to me, that's not justice, because that's selfishly driven. It's like, you're not doing it because, you want to be fair and penalize him for the harm that he's committed to the victims. As we've known, it's a misnomer. The people versus blah, blah, blah. Because you notice when you sue the government, when you go back to sue them, it's not you suing the people. It's you suing that entity, that jurisdictional entity. But it's so mind-blowing to me. The secrecy that surrounds this case and the selfishness that surrounds it too, because it's like, I don't expect fairness. There's too many people who are selfishly driven, who may, they want to protect themselves. Clergy people, all types of people, politicians, judicial branch, all them people, right? On top of the fact that, when it comes to holding these positions of power accountable, it rarely happens. And it just makes you wonder, is Diddy going to end up another, Ghislaine Maxwell or Epstein? And then even Ghislaine Maxwell, she's very interesting because she attended her court with the motherfucking glasses, sunglasses, a scarf, and a hat. And I practically was harassed every time I went to court for having a bonnet on my head. They don't be wanting you to wear nothing on your head. They barely be wanting you to wear religious headwear. And then it has to be religious headwear that's that's a like acceptable to the main society, which is white people. Because if me as a Christian, right, in my Bible it says that my hair is my covering. But if I, decided to shave all my hair off and I had no hair on my head, because according to the Bible, women will cover their heads who ain't have no hair on their head. So I will put a, bonnet on my head because in this scenario, bald, right? These people will tell me to take it off my head because they don't acknowledge my religious, standing. And it's like, what? But then this lady is able to attend her court appearances all with a sunglasses, mother freaking hat, scarf, the whole shebang. We don't even know if that was her. And it's not uncommon for these people to use stunt doubles and stuff. I mean, we know that the presidents have them. We know that celebrities have used them. You've had Usher and Jeremiah. Jeremiah's not even a prominent, big artist. And he had a stunt double go on tour for him and perform for him. So it's like the smokes and mirrors that comes with them. And then the propaganda, it's all like, ew. It's just so ill. And then that media and lobbyists are used to manipulate the public and push these narratives, smokes and mirrors, magicians and whatnot. I mean, it's obvious that misinformation and confusion is desired by these people amongst, the higher people, these elitists amongst us little people. I mean, when you look at the fairness doctrine, right? The fairness doctrine was, enacted in 1980s. I want to say, or excuse me, not 1980s, 1940s. I want to say it was about 1949. Look into it, the fairness doctrine. But it was repealed in the 80s, and the fairness doctrine was literally a legislation that mandated that if you were going to disseminate information to the public, that it had to be well-rounded, where people got all possible perspectives of that topic so they can be well versed on it and make sound decisions. Now, with that repealing or that legislation being repealed, it's the complete opposite. I mean, we see it all time and time again that information is pushed and it's just like, what? This is wild. This is obscene. Like this is a lie, this is crazy. And there's no obligation to ensure that the people are well informed, right? And that's why it drives me mother freaking, when I see humans, and I hear humans claim to, again, they placing these expectations on other humans and they say, well, they're journalists or they're this, they're that. Aren't they supposed to do this? Especially when it comes to like journalism. People love to say, well, they researched it, right? Like they're required to fact check. No, they haven't been required to fact check jack squat since the 80s. Jack squat. They could tell you that the sky is purple and it's okay. It's okay. They had to fact check nothing. So it's obvious that these smokes and mirrors are literally being allowed by legislation. Legislation keeps passing that shrinks the rights and the protections of the people and expands the rights and protections of the government. It's insane. But people say that we're not living in a fascist time. I don't know. I don't know. Good morning, beautiful people. Good afternoon, good evening. No matter what time it is, just know this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. As always, God is good, and He is good all the time.